The secrets of the pyramids, the fate of a lost Roman legion. For centuries, these ancient enigmas left us guessing, dreaming, and theorizing. But what if I told you that some of history's greatest mysteries, once thought unsolvable, have finally been cracked? From eerie humming stones to long-lost languages, these discoveries reshaped what we thought we knew about the ancient world. And today, we're counting down the top 10 ancient historical mysteries that have been solved, starting from the merely mind-blowing to the absolutely insane. Kicking things off at number 10. Imagine you're a Viking. No compass, no GPS, just you, the open sea, and clouds everywhere. So how did they navigate with such insane accuracy? Okay, not actual magic, but something just as wild. Viking sunstones. Legend said these mysterious crystals could locate the invisible sun on the cloudiest days or even during twilight. For centuries, it sounded like myth. But guess what? Science said it's real. Archaeologists found Iceland's spar, a crystal that can detect polarized light, and it totally works. You rotate it until the light splits perfectly, and boom, you know exactly where the sun is. Even if it's hidden, it's like Viking X-ray vision. This explains how Norse explorers navigated thousands of miles of open ocean, long before compasses came to Europe. One of the craziest ancient mysteries. Solved. Magic? Nope. Just ancient science way ahead of its time. Coming up next at number 9. In the late Bronze Age, just as ancient empires were thriving, boom, they started collapsing one by one. Egypt, the Hittites, Mycenae all wiped out or weakened. And the cause? A mysterious group called the Sea Peoples. They came from the sea, destroyed cities, and then vanished like a ghost fleet. No one knew who they were. Pirates? Rebels? Aliens? Okay, maybe not aliens. Pharaoh Ramses III fought them off and carved their invasion into stone, but even he didn't say where they came from. Just foreigners from the sea. Thanks, Ramses. Super helpful. For centuries, historians were stumped, until recently, when clues started coming together like a puzzle. Turns out, the Sea Peoples weren't one group. They were a mix. Displaced warriors, climate refugees, angry exiles, from places like Sicily, Sardinia, and even Greece. They weren't just invaders, they were desperate survivors trying to find a new home by force. So yeah, the Sea People's mystery cracked, and it's one of the wildest tales of how a secret storm from the sea nearly reset civilization. Next up at number 8, what if I told you the Incas had a secret code made of knots? Yep, quipus, those strange strings with knots, weren't just decorations or counting tools, they were an entire communication system. And for centuries, no one could crack the code. The Spanish destroyed most Incan records, and historians were left staring at these colorful string bundles going, math? But turns out, these knots talked. Each quipu had a main cord with hanging strings, tied with different knots in different positions. For a while, we thought they were just for accounting, like ancient spreadsheets. But here's the wild part. In 2017, researchers found a group of quipus near Lima that had matching knot patterns and were used in different villages. Translation? They weren't just math, they were messages. It's like finding ancient USB drives made of yarn. Some knots represented numbers, but others, names, dates, even tribal info. We're finally starting to read them, knot by knot. The Incas may not have had writing like we know it, but they built a unique, genius code of fiber that lasted for centuries. And the best part? There are hundreds of quipus left to decode. The mystery isn't over, it's just getting started. Up next at number 7. For centuries, people thought the city of Troy was just a myth, a made-up story from Homer's Iliad about heroes, gods, and a giant wooden horse. But what if I told you Troy was real? Troy was said to be the site of an epic 10-year war between the Greeks and Trojans, a city so legendary it blurred the line between history and fantasy. Then in the 1870s, a German businessman named Heinrich Schliemann, who was obsessed with ancient texts, went treasure hunting in Turkey, and boom, he uncovered the ruins of a massive ancient city buried under a hill called Hisarlik. Was it the Troy? Many believe yes. Archaeologists found layers upon layers of cities built on top of each other, some destroyed by fire and war, just like the story said. And get this, artifacts from the dig even matched descriptions from ancient poems. So what started as a bedtime story turned into one of the wildest real-life discoveries in history. The lost city of Troy? Not so lost anymore. Next up at number 6, why are ancient Roman buildings still standing while modern ones crack in decades? These 2,000-year-old marvels were built with a secret ingredient lost to time. Modern concrete? Strong, sure, but it ages terribly. Roman concrete? Practically immortal. Scientists were baffled. Was it the volcanic ash? The lime? The ancient Roman magic? Nope. Turns out it's something way cooler. The secret? Self-healing concrete. See those little white chunks? That's lime clasts. When cracks form, water seeps in, and bam, the lime reacts and reseals the cracks like ancient superglue. In 2023, scientists finally cracked the code. They replicated the formula, and it worked. 2,000 years later, we just caught up with the Romans. It's like the Romans gave us a time capsule of construction genius, and we just opened it. So next time you walk past a crumbling sidewalk, just remember, Rome did it better, way better, halfway there. At number 5, what happened to 5,000 elite Roman soldiers who vanished without a trace? This isn't a ghost story. It's real ancient history. The disappearance of the legendary Ninth Legion. The Ninth Legion was one of Rome's toughest. These guys helped conquer Britain, fought savage battles, and were feared across the empire. Then one day, poof, they disappeared from history like a magician's trick. The last time we know the Ninth existed was around 120 CE. Then suddenly, nothing. No records, no reports, just silence. Did they get wiped out by angry British tribes in the north, or were they quietly sent to another part of the empire and forgotten? Historians have been obsessed with this. Some say they marched into what is now Scotland and got ambushed to extinction by the Picts. Others think they were relocated to the east and destroyed fighting in Armenia or Judea. But the most cinematic idea? They were Rome's version of the Bermuda Triangle. A legion swallowed by the foggy hills of ancient Britain, never to be seen again. But here's the twist. Archaeological evidence suggests the Ninth wasn't wiped out in Britain after all. Inscriptions in the Netherlands and possibly Syria show they may have survived, just not where people expected them. Turns out the mystery might have just been bad bookkeeping and a bit of drama. Still cool though, right? So no, the Ninth Legion didn't disappear into thin air, but the myth of their vanishing gave us movies, books, and wild theories for centuries. Sometimes history's biggest mysteries are just puzzles waiting for the right clue. Up next at number 4, did you know the oldest known library in human history was lost for centuries? And when it was found, it blew archaeologists' minds. Welcome to ancient Nineveh, capital of the mighty Assyrian Empire. Over 2,600 years ago, King Ashurbanipal didn't just conquer lands, he conquered knowledge. He built a mega library filled with over 30,000 clay tablets. Ashurbanipal wasn't your average ancient king. He could read, write, and even correct his priests. His library had everything: medicine, history, magic spells, and even epic tales like the Epic of Gilgamesh, the world's first superhero story. But when Nineveh fell in 612 BCE, the library disappeared, buried by time, forgotten for centuries, gone like a real-life Atlantis, but made of clay tablets instead of coral. Fast forward to the 1850s, British archaeologists digging in Iraq hit the jackpot. Thousands of tablets buried in palace ruins. At first, no one knew what they were looking at. Then someone realized this wasn't just scribbles. This was a lost ancient library. Before the discovery, people thought ancient Mesopotamians were primitive, but the library proved they were way more advanced, tracking stars, writing laws, cataloging dreams, even documenting alien-like gods. This wasn't just some royal reading nook. It was a civilization's brain, preserved in clay for millennia. And when we cracked the code of cuneiform, it was like opening an ancient hard drive full of humanity's oldest thoughts. So yeah, the Library of Ashurbanipal, it's not just old, it's legendary, a forgotten treasure trove that rewrote what we thought we knew. Next up at number 3, for centuries, the ancient Maya glyphs were a complete mystery. Strange symbols carved into stone, but no one had a clue what they meant. Were they numbers, art, alien codes? These weren't just decorations, they were a full-blown written language, one of the most complex writing systems in the ancient world. Over 800 unique symbols, each with different meanings, sounds, and combinations. For the longest time, people thought we'd never crack the code. Even experts said, this is impossible. But then came the code breakers. Tatiana Proskuryakov, an artist turned archaeologist, noticed something wild. The glyphs weren't just about gods. Some were talking about real people, kings, battles, and dates, like a royal diary in stone. Then came Yuri Norosov. He had a radical idea. What if the glyphs were not just pictures, but syllables, like sounds? He tested it, and boom, it worked. Suddenly, ancient Maya voices began to speak. Glyphs became names, stories, history, from mystery to meaning. Thanks to these code crackers, we now read stories from over 1,000 years ago, tales of kings, wars, and even jokes. The Maya weren't silent. We just didn't know how to listen until now. Crazy, right? Coming up next at number 2, imagine hiking in the Alps and stumbling across a dead body frozen in ice. But wait, this isn't just any body. This guy's over 5,000 years old. Meet Ötzi the Iceman, the world's coolest cold case. Discovered in 1991 by 2 hikers, Ötzi was chilling in the Ötztal Alps like a prehistoric popsicle. Scientists thought he was just a lost climber until they looked closer. His gear? Ancient. His clothes? Made from goat skin and grass. His weapons? A copper axe, arrows, and a badass flint knife. Ötzi wasn't a hiker. He was a warrior, or maybe a hunter, or maybe a murder victim. The real twist? He didn't die from the cold. CT scans showed an arrowhead buried in his shoulder. Yup, Ötzi was shot in the back, assassination style, and he had defensive wounds too. This guy went down fighting. Inside his stomach, his last meal, goat bread and possibly some ancient ibex jerky. Turns out he died just hours after eating. Even crazier, scientists found his tattoos, over 60 of them, possibly used for pain relief like acupuncture. He also had heart disease, Lyme disease, and lactose intolerance. Basically, Ötzi is the oldest human medical file on record. record. So what really happened? Was he ambushed, betrayed, on the run? We may never know why he died, but thanks to modern science, we know how, and that's what cracked this ancient mystery wide open. From frozen silence to global headlines, Ötzi the Iceman went from anonymous corpse to prehistoric celebrity. At last but not least, did you know the Great Pyramid of Giza is so perfectly aligned with true north? It's almost spooky, like GPS-level spooky, but built 4,500 years ago. We're talking about a 6 million-ton monument made with zero computers, lasers, or satellites, yet it's aligned to true north within 0.05 degrees. That's more accurate than any building until the 20th century. How did ancient Egyptians even know what true north was? They didn't have compasses, and Polaris, the North Star, wasn't even aligned back then. So what's the secret? Turns out they may have tracked two stars, Kokab and Mizar, as they rotated in opposite directions across the night sky. When the two lined up vertically, that pointed to true north. Genius? Totally. Insane? Absolutely. Accurate? Heck yes. By using this method and tools like plumb lines and sighting instruments, they were able to orient the entire pyramid complex with jaw-dropping precision. And it wasn't a lucky guess. They did this on purpose. What's crazier? The Great Pyramid also aligns almost perfectly with the cardinal points, north, south, east, west. Some researchers even say it aligns with constellations and planetary paths. So yeah, it's not aliens, it's ancient science, and it's brilliant. The Great Pyramid's alignment, one of the wildest ancient mysteries that we finally figured out.